My name is Gabriel Johns for Punk Globe Magazine. Really excited today that we have Gary Myrick from Gary Myrick and the Figures, and also Havana, Gary Myrick and Havana 3 a.m. Also his own personal stuff. And I'm really excited to talk to him today. And I'm gonna let him in right now. Gary, can you hear me? Waiting for you to connect to the audio.
Can you see me?
There he is. I hear your voice.
I can see you. Can you not see me?
All I see is Gary's iPhone.
Okay, hold on. Oh, there we go.
There you are. Looking handsome as ever. Look at you.
Well, I'm hanging in there, brother.
There you go, man. That's how the best we can do, right?
That's the best we can do.
Hey,
You know,
I want to thank you very much for participating in the Punk Globe magazine, a Ginger Coyote publication. I don't know if you know who Ginger Coyote is, but
I do. GTO.
yeah, she's been around. White trash debutantes, and she's had this magazine since the 70s, 60s, maybe 70s.
Great name, White Trash Debutantes.
Yeah, it's
I
a
like.
it's a great band.
Cool.
But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about you. Gary, tell me
Yes,
a
sir.
little bit about yourself. What got
Well,
you into music?
my history goes quite a ways back. What would you like to know?
I'd like to know you and sneakers. Just like coming into music, all of a sudden, like, this is what I fucking want to do.
Okay, so I'm a kid, right? I'm 9 years old, and I live in Texas, Dallas, Texas, born and raised in Dallas, Texas. My mom sees that I'm drawing. I've done all my album cover artwork all through the years.
Good to know. Wow.
Yeah, I've done I have 10 solo albums, and then I've also had, done some art gallery type shows through the years too. But when I first signed my first record deal with Epic in 1980, I actually brought in some artwork and said, see, this is something else that I do. I would like to do my own covers, album covers, and help design it with the art department. And they didn't fight it at all. They went, "Oh, fantastic! We love this. It looks it." So anyhow, going back to 9 years old, my mom said, "You're creative. You need to play an instrument." And I was very amenable as a child. I just went, okay. And I said, what instrument? She said, guitar. I love guitar. And I went, okay. So it shows how influential parents can really be. And then I started taking some lessons at age 10. And I would go downtown Dallas to this music store that had been around for a long time. They had a teacher there, and which was quite a ways from our house. We were in North Dallas, so it was a little trek. I never missed a lesson. My mom took me every time, and I think, if memory serves, I rented a guitar the first couple of months for $5. It was really low. It was insanely low. It was like a little acoustic. And then after that, uh, I, I can't remember how I got my first guitar, because we're talking a long time ago. And then I got an actual real guitar, electric guitar. And I tried to write my first song after my first lesson, which is totally ridiculous. But it was the idea that my teacher was tuning his guitar. And often when you have a low E on the guitar and you have a high E, so they're octaves. So he was tuning using the octaves, dong, bing, boom, bing, seeing if they were matching. And I thought that was the coolest thing. I just heard dong, ding, dong, ding, and I mean, I'm a kid, I'm just thinking anything's great, involving guitar. So I heard him do that. And so I went home because I knew I could do that. I could hit 2 guitar notes. I'm not even pushing down with my left hand. So I tried to write a song around that called I'm a Traveling Man, which is totally ridiculous. I'm not even a traveling boy. But there was a hit song on the radio called Traveling Man. So I guess I tried to copy that lyric or something. Anyhow, so I started taking lessons. I took lessons for 2 years and learned, the things, all the chords, what everything's called, all the fret, everything about the frets, strumming, finger picking, all that kind of stuff. And then I realized I could take it from there and keep learning on my own. So that's what I did. And within, a couple of years of doing it, I started trying to, play in some bands at school and stuff. There wasn't really not many people that could play guitar at the time. Do a talent show, do whatever I could do. And then all the time trying to write songs. And I remember playing in some little band at school and playing a party. And at the party, I did my first original song. And all the kids thought it was the greatest thing because I said I wrote it on the microphone before we played it. And it went over so well. And of course, girls were talking to me about it, and at that age, if you can get a girl to talk to you, it's the greatest thing. And so, I was getting encouragement. Let's put it that way. I was being encouraged by audience members and other, semi-musicians. They were trying to start. So I just kept
about 9, 10, 11 years old.
Yeah. That was more like probably 12, 13 by the time I was actually playing a little bit. And then at 16, I was, playing actual gigs in some clubs in Dallas. And then it just went on. And then I started doing completely all my own material by the age of 18. And I just continued with that. And
Is that when the figures came into view?
No, that was, I actually, that's right after that, when I was around 20, 21.
Okay.
I was playing at a club in downtown Dallas called The Cellar. And it was the wildest joint ever. All the bouncers had guns on. All of them.
Nice.
So it kind of was, it was all, the whole place was black with day glow paint on different sayings like "you must be evil if you're here." No, live is evil backwards. It was so stupid. Anyhow, and they had in front of the band a runway, and girls would get up out of the audience and dance on the runway by themselves, like a bunch of girls in a row. It was the craziest thing, and I could do all my own material. We were the biggest band in there, and we got paid every night.
Wow, nice.
It was pretty damn good, and we could work, 6 nights a week, and then we'd go over to Fort Worth. They had another cellar over there. We could work, there for the weekend, come back. So we were constantly working, playing. And
all original?
All pretty much all original, maybe a couple of covers thrown in that we would do our way.
Were you playing rock and roll?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It was roll.
No country, no rockabilly.
I'm sorry.
No country, no rockabilly.
No, maybe a hair of wannabe rockabilly, but it
Oh,
was rock.
nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's what we wanted. That's what we liked, and it was kind of there was a glam look to the band,
Nice.
and
Nice.
so which was really the beginnings of, frankly, the band before this band was glam punk. To be honest, I mean, it didn't wasn't termed that then, but that's what we were, and we were experimenting with that and going in that direction. And but the second band, it was definitely a kind of a glam effect. We were wearing like velvet pants, and you know everybody was really skinny, and so we were having a great time, and that there was plenty of girls dancing in front of us, and we were doing original material, and uh, the guy that ran the club was a 1950s rockabilly guy that
Oh,
had records out. His name was Johnny Carroll,
okay.
and if you look in the history books, he's in there. And he was real into it, and he paid us the most of all the bands because he
Wow.
knew we were original and doing our own thing. We went over really well, and so anyhow, so that continued, and then I was asked to come down to by a guy named Uncle John Turner, who was the drummer for the Johnny Winter Trio.
Uncle John Turner.
John Turner. We all called him Unc, and he came into the cellar and said, Gary, you sound great. Would you come down and uh, play with Cracker Jack down in Austin, play with my band? And I knew about them. They were the biggest band in Austin.
Wow.
They were making the most money, and they were doing all original blues rock. And I thought it was also a chance for me to learn more about the blues. So, and they said, you're going to replace this guy it's just not working out. His name's Stevie Vaughn. And I went, okay, cool. Because, Stevie hadn't done anything. None of us had done anything. Well, there was no record companies, no independent record companies that didn't exist. You'd have to go out to the coast or New York or London to try to get a record deal. So I go down to Austin. I play for 2 years there and have a great time, and decided it's time for me to get out in the real world and try to make some records. So I went out to the West Coast because I thought, well, I won't freeze. I'll freeze in New York. So I'll go out to the West Coast and see how that goes.
Do you come to Hollywood?
I came to Hollywood. I came to Hollywood and rented an apartment and just started trying to. I
Where's the
didn't know
where was the
anybody.
apartment?
I'm sorry.
Where was the apartment?
The apartment was on a street called La Mirada.
La Mirada. Yes, I know La Mirada. Was it
You
above?
know La Mirada, yeah. So it was fantastic. I mean, I just started pounding the pavement, and my stuff was a little more abstract. So when uh, punk music came into on the scene, and then the offshoot of new wave that was in punk that was coming from England, I felt really a kinship with all that, and so it kind of opened that door for me. And then I had a band. I put a band together, and I was playing around uh, clubs in LA, and then all of a sudden there was an actual punk movement. There was a movement in music, and I fit right in already. So that's kind of what got me off the ground, and record companies were going out to hear everybody play.
Yes.
They were signing people, and that's how I got signed. I was playing like at the Whiskey, the Starwood, the Roxy, Troubadour, all the stuff that was, everybody was putting up their little flyers on the flat, on the telephone poles all over town. So, it was you know, a, a underground effect. And I I enjoyed it, and I was having a great time and doing
But
all my material, and it worked out.
you moved into the MTV generation, the original MTV generation, right?
Yeah, that right. I actually made a video before MTV started
Yeah.
because I had a friend that was a director, and
What song?
a song called "Model" off my first album,
Okay.
and it's probably on YouTube somewhere. I think it is, and excuse me, and and then MTV started, and they started playing my stuff, like because my first album came out in 1980. I signed in 79, and then my first album, Gary Myrick and the Figures, came out in 1980, and uh,
1980, okay.
and then we made another video, and we had like a couple of videos, and they were playing them like crazy. And in fact, Nina Blackwood was playing the heck out of them,
Yeah.
and she and I have remained really good friends for a long time. She is such a sweetheart, and so with it. I mean, she's totally with it. She's on the East Coast, but we talk all the time to
Nice.
this day. She's like a real close buddy. And so, the MTV helped get everything off the ground too. You
Yeah,
know,
I
and then
remember seeing there your she let's talk about She Talks in Stereo. That was
yeah,
a pretty big hit, Gary. That was a pretty big hit.
what's cool about that is it became in the top 100 of the decade on KROQ,
Yes.
and I really appreciated that. I thought that was really, and to this day, that's a very cool thing to me. I think that was cool, and they played the heck out of my stuff.
Yeah, they did. I remember hearing you. It was great. It was just like I was just me and my girlfriend. I remember it's just at the time she loved you. Um, yeah.
That's good.
Then what happened with the Figures? That was what Talks in Stereos with the Figures.
That's right.
Exactly. What happened with the Figures?
Well, then we made a second album called Living in a Movie.
Okay.
And that was the same lineup. And then after that, I wanted to go completely solo. Instead of Gary Myrick and the Figures, I just wanted it to be me. And I wanted to kind of expand my sound and utilize maybe a few other instruments. And so I made my third album called Language on Epic.
Okay.
Then at the same time, I was asked uh, by this manager if I would make a record with this guy, John Waite, this English guy that was in the Babies. And I met up with John, and we talked about it, and it was going to be a band, right? We would call it something. We didn't have a band name, but it was just me and him, and basing it around us, and then getting a bass player and a drummer. And so it had been a trio and a singer. And we started writing together, and put it together. And I pulled in a drummer that I had that was really good, and he had a bass player that he'd used before he liked. And then we made the album No Breaks, which had Missing You on it, which turned out to be a #1 song. And of course, we didn't know. We had no idea it was going to be a hit. Who knows? No one knows what a hit is. But all that's based on, the success of She Talks in Stereo, really. Everybody kind of knew me after that. And
Right.
still to this day says She Talks in Stereo. Somebody will say, oh, yeah, She Talks in Stereo, And so that kind of got everything moving. And then after that, I actually, at the end of the record, like an idiot, I had a fourth solo album to make on Geffen. And I wrote songs on No Breaks. I played all the guitar and I sang all the backgrounds. And so John didn't want me to make that solo album, or his manager. And I said, I want to make that solo album. I want to keep making my solo albums. I don't want to stop.
Right.
And so I said, look, I had a piece of the record. I have points on the record, right? So I own a piece of the No Breaks album. So I'll always get paid from that if it goes anywhere. You don't know if anything's going to go anywhere or anybody's going to listen. And so I told John, I said, look, dude, you can call it a John Waite record. I don't care because I have all my guitar, all my songs, and my points. So I'll still get paid. Everything's cool. Uh, but really, it was never a John Waite album. Never. So that's kind of a fun fact. He's been living off that for 40 years. But that's cool. That was my decision. It was my call.
Yeah.
You know,
We live with these things, we make decisions. It's hard to, to know the outcome of anything. What are we doing now, Gary?
it's
I'm sorry.
okay. I'm
What?
not pissed or anything.
Okay. Yeah, you seem very well rounded about the whole everything that went on. What's going on right now?
Well, right now, I've got a new little project that I'm starting with Doug Pinnick, from the bass player from King's X.
Well, okay. Oh, I love that band.
Yeah, he's got that, and they just put out a new album, so it's kind of moving slow. But we went in the studio about 2 months ago and recorded 4 tracks with a drummer, and we've called it MPH, like miles per hour, but really it's Myrick, Pinnick, Hansen.
Nice.
So the drummer's last name is Hansen. So we used our last names. The drummer came up with it. His name is Mike Hansen, and he said, "Why don't we call it MPH?" And I went, "Oh, that's interesting." And then we talked about it for a second, and Doug liked it, so it's MPH. And so you can call it what you will. MPH, miles per hour, Myrick, Pinnick, Hansen, which is really what it is.
And what are we expecting from that? What kind of sound is coming out of that?
It's heavy. It's
Yeah.
heavy, and it's raucous, and it's dangerous.
Thing
It's
is, King's X was very, very they were very heavy, but had such a melodic pop, a thing going on with these heavy guitars. And you come from a very pop, very artsy kind of a thing that's happening. Really, really great songwriter coming from that. So I imagine the two are just going to be like, wow, balls to the walls, right?
I, we think it's pretty special. We think it's very unique sounding. It's definitely heavy, and I get to play the shit out of my guitar.
Nice.
And, feedback is involved, and a lot of I really get to kind of totally do my thing. And of course, Doug and I both are going to sing together, and which is kind of exciting because we both have been lead singers. Not that I have to sing lead because I don't really care. I love just playing guitar. That's fine. But that's our plan, is to both be singing and singing together and separately on the project. And it's a trio, and
Nice.
it'll stay a trio. We love trios.
Doug was a singer for King's X, right?
Well, he's the bass player, and he's kind of really the main singer.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the guitar player Ty sings, but Doug's really I think sings the majority of their
Right.
song.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah, I was very much into that band.
Yeah,
Well, what are we looking for? When will it be out?
God, that's a good question. I wish I could say, oh, it'll be out this time, but we're in the studio basically now still, but King's Edge just put out a record, so they're out doing some gigs. But the scary part of it is Ty, the guitar player, was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh,
So yeah, it's kind of freaky, and it slowed them down, and they can't go. They were going to do some dates in Europe. They can't do that because he has to go to do
yeah.
cancer therapy and all the things that you have to do. And I mean, it looks good for him that everything will work out fine, but it's still nerve-wracking and scary. And I of course know what that's like. I had lost when I played with Paul Simonon in Havana 3 a.m. We lost our singer to cancer, so I'm pretty sensitive about it. And so I'm just kind of waiting on Doug to get back, and then we'll go back in the studio and finish up what we've done so far. So I can't really say when it's going to come out.
Okay, but that's where we can expect something new coming from you.
Oh, definitely.
Let's talk
Plus, I've
briefly.
made an album during the pandemic.
I'm going to talk briefly about your blues exploration, because you did come out with shoot, I have my notes here. You came out with a blues album, right?
Well, I came out with during the pandemic.
Guitarista.
Oh, Guitarista. That was actually a in the studio live thing. It's not really a blues album. No.
Oh.
It's just like a solo electric album. And then I also did something called Blues Trash that is not really on a label, but I think it's available. I just put it out real quickly because it's got some good stuff that I really like. And so, I mean, that's available like on Spotify and iTunes and all that. So it would be Gary Myrick and Blues Trash. And then during the pandemic, I put out a totally analog recording.
Wow.
I pushed back towards analog because let's face it, vinyl sounds better. We know. We tried everything, right?
It's coming
we tried
back.
CDs, we tried, what I'm trying to think of all the formats we've had in the last 15 20 years, but the bottom line is vinyl sounds best. We know it.
Yes.
We know. We tried. Okay, so the good news is for me is most of my records and nearly all were vinyl and were analog recordings. So I'm very experienced in that. Of course, I'm experienced in Pro Tools, recording that way also. But I started my own record company called Sound of Vinyl Records. And I did that during the pandemic because there wasn't a whole lot to do. I said, anybody can start a record company, no big deal. So I did that. I have a big distribution out of Portland, Oregon and they do a whole worldwide distribution. So
nice.
And I also put out a live album that I just discovered in the last year of Gary Myrick and the Figures in Texas, 1980. And it's the most burning, on fire live tracks of that band ever. It's the best live recording and the best performance of that band live. And Epic put out some during the heyday, but it never quite captured what it really was. But this live album that I put out is on fire. It's insane.
Where was it recorded at? What venue?
It was recorded by a radio station in Dallas, Texas.
Wow, okay.
And then they called me up and said, look, we want to give you this album. I went, what? What album? And they said, we have this recording from you playing live, one show. Not, most live albums are a bunch of shows put together. It's one show and a recorded analog, of course. It was 1980. There was nothing else. And they called me up and just gave me the album.
Wow.
And I thought, I didn't know what it sounded like. And then I heard it and I freaked. I went, damn, fuck, this sounds amazing. And the performance is so tight. It's so on. I just went crazy. I went, well, I got to put this out. Nice. So I put it out on Sound of Vinyl Records. And so that's available too. And uh, all this can be heard on YouTube, by the
Okay.
way. Anybody can, just check it out if they want to.
Do you have a website?
Uh, I don't have a website. I started kind of feeling like websites I didn't really need it. So
Just
I'm,
wondering where can we get copies of your vinyl and all of that? And
oh, well, you can just get those. As far as vinyl, you mean like my older vinyl?
older vinyl and the live version you're talking about that you put that out on vinyl, no?
That's not on.
That's not okay.
That's
Got it.
not on vinyl. You have to download that album.
Got it.
That's just a download.
Nice.
If you go to Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff, it's there. Now I do have the 12s. I put out a 12-string acoustic album, all analog recording, during the pandemic. Now that's out there is a CD of that on Amazon.
Okay. Good.
And of course my vinyl can be of my older records can be found even on eBay. In fact, that's a great place to find a lot of my stuff.
That's interesting. Yeah, I never think about looking for a music over on eBay.
Yeah, just put on Gary Myrick and see what happens. It's wild.
Gary, I got about 8 minutes left with you.
Problem.
What do you want? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to let us know? This is going to go on YouTube. What do you want? What do you want to say to people? I'm here. I'm alive. What?
Oh yeah, I'm not dead, and, and I'm playing the shit out of my guitar.
Nice.
And I'm playing resonator guitar. I think we just lost it. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. Somebody's trying to call me. Look, it says Russia. Somebody's calling me from Russia. Bullshit.
Nice.
Bullshitometer. Okay, forget it. They're going to hang up in a second. Let's get rid of them. What are they doing?
I don't see anything on this. So
yeah, it didn't come. There we go. Back totally.
7.5 minutes left. I just want to, get a message out that you'd like to say because you do have fans.
Well, first of all, I love my fans. I really do. And my advice always to younger musicians is be kind to your fans. So be nice to your fans. Don't be don't play rock star. It's bullshit. Be truthful, be honest, tell it like it is.
Nice.
And be nice to your fans. Understand them. They like your music. So I care about my fans. I got a lot of fans and they're always writing to me and I really appreciate it. And I will be doing this till I'm dead. That's the plan.
Love it. Love it. I do want to say something to the audience. When this comes out, there'll also be a piece that Gary's going to be doing a show and there will be a review of this show. And I'll be reviewing the show. So you're going to get some good feedback about, my seeing him in quite a long time. And I'm really looking forward to that too. So in the same issue of Punk Love magazine that this interview is happening, there'll also be a review of his show over at Maui's Sugar Mill in Tarzana, California.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to seeing you too. That's really great, man. I'm really liking what's coming out of you, Gary. I didn't know what to expect, I just reached out and said, will you do this interview? And I didn't expect to hear from you. And
well,
you finally came back and the gentleman you are accommodated me.
Gabriel, I care. That's it. I really care. And there's no reason to play rock star. It doesn't fly. And I could tell you were sincere when we first, even though we were texting, I could tell.
No, thank you.
And I appreciate you caring about my music. I really do.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, and I know we're like Facebook friends. Like, oh yeah, he's probably got like 20 million Facebook friends, and I just reached out and you answered me. It was just like, Okay, that's great.
Yeah, why the hell? I could always block you if you're a weirdo. I mean, no problem.
I'm not a weirdo. I'll let you know that.
No, you're not. You're not. But I mean, if somebody's driving you crazy, you can block them.
You
Just
can
get rid of
block.
them.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
So it's
Yeah.
all good, man.
So you made your home here in California.
I have. I have. I mean, I'm a fifth generation Texan,
I
but
know. I still hear the draw.
yeah, it comes out every once in a while. But I'm a very liberal minded dude, and I like the politics of California. Plus, I'm like 3 miles from the ocean, and I'm living out in basically out in the country in the Calabasas, Topanga, Malibu Canyon area, and so
Nice,
like forests all around me.
nice up
And
there.
I also am an animal advocate and animal rights, and there's animals everywhere. And
Wow.
I
Thank you for sharing that. Do you belong in any special group or?
know I'm just my wife and I are both way into you know animal you
Okay.
know awareness of how special all animals are, everything, and
Yes.
that we're not better. Humans are not better, and we shouldn't be murdering them and eating them. It's ridiculous. That's just my feeling. I'm not telling everybody what to do. I'm just saying I love animals and I care. I have 7 dogs. They're
Nice.
all rescues and they're all seniors.
Oh,
So, not
nice.
that I'm a saint or anything. I'm just saying I care. I really care about animals. And my wife, she's very extreme. She's a
Right.
full vegan. And, I'm not, you know, we don't have to eat their bodies. We don't have to.
Right.
So that's just my take on all that. And, I'm trying to live that way. It's growing up in Texas, they're stuffing steaks down your throat while when you're a kid.
The long,
And
the Longhorn State, right?
it's the Longhorn
Yeah.
State, yes. But it's okay. I mean, everybody has to do what they feel, but I would like to see humanity grow forward in
Right.
that respect, because we really don't treat animals. It's horrifying,
That's very true. I'll agree with you on that one. And I love that you're a part of that movement. Movement. I shouldn't even call it a movement. It should just be. It is what it should be. Just blah blah blah. It should be a
It's
consciousness.
it's a consciousness,
Definitely.
I
Def-
think, but that's just me.
Gary, I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. I'm looking forward to meeting with you over at Maui's coming up very soon. Audience, please stay tuned for the this interview as well as the review of his show over at Maui Sugar Mill Saloon. And this is Gabriel again with Gary Myrick, The Figures, Havana 3M, and just Gary Myrick. Quite the gentleman you are, and I thank you. Punk Globe magazine thanks you. Ginger Coyote thanks you. And with that,
Thank you, Ginger. Thank you, Punk Globe. I love the name Punk Global Magazine. Love it.
very good.
Let me throw this in for all you old punks and young punks. I'm the only guitar player that ever played with a member of the Clash and a member of the Sex Pistols.
Yes.
There's my punk connection for all of y'all.
There you go.
Have
Very good. Take
a
care.
great day, Gabe.
Take care. Signing out now. Good
All right,
night.
brother. Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.